Hey guys, welcome to eCommerce Skeptic. Hey Danilo. This time we're gonna be
Uh,
talking about working with the vendors, which is a very common problem that some of our clients have. So I think you're the right person to talk about this, Danilo.
Yeah, I've been working with vendors for quite a while right now, and with different vendors, and I was able to see basically what kind of vendors are doing a good job and what vendors are not doing a good job, and I think I can help our viewers figure out that on their own much faster. Since it took me some time to figure it out.
Well, just to be clear for people watching, we're talking about app vendors on Shopify. So the vendors would be people who are writing the code for the apps you're using. There is nothing else really on Shopify that you would need to, work on with somebody other than your perhaps own team of web developers and designers that work on your theme. So we're talking about people who are writing the apps basically and working with their support and what the best ways to do that are, because it can be very challenging. I think personally, this is one of probably the most problematic places of the problematic spots for Shopify.
So oftentimes Shopify store owners rely on app support to make some modifications on their website because the apps are actually locked and the development team that can't make any changes by themselves. So Shopify store owners have to rely on the app support to do that.
Well, just to be clear,
Uh,
when you say they're locked, you mean the Shopify store owners and their development teams don't have access to the code.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So they have to rely on the app support to make those modifications for them. So a good app support usually has a live chat, and you're gonna be able to see when is their online time, what is their response time, and basically they're gonna be able to respond to your queries in a timely manner, like usually within a couple of minutes, sometimes hours, depending on their schedule. So that's basically the what any Shopify store owner should look for.
Yeah, that's a good point because some vendors may be in different time zones. So it's very important to understand what their average time for responding would be and how quickly they respond and what's the turnaround time. We've worked with some vendors that take literal weeks to respond. And there are some vendors that are literally just a single guy, dude, like a dude doing like writing the app. They're support, they're the developer, they're testing, they're everything. So it's completely understandable that these people don't have resources to do timely support because this is, I think, for app vendors, this is probably their biggest cost is support. And as we know, the apps are relatively cheap on Shopify, so you don't really generate a lot of revenue from selling your app initially. So it's kind of tricky for them to be able to provide timely support. But I think this is very critical. If you're an app vendor watching this, then this is probably the best way to differentiate yourself from your competition. It's not the actual app because you can nowadays you can find an app for everything. The problem is, well, when the app doesn't work or when you need to customize your app, how well you work with your customers and how well do you respond and how quickly respond.
Okay, so to sum it up, the things that you should be looking for in app support, if you're likely to need customizations, are whether or not the app support has a live chat and whether or not they respond quickly to your requests and make necessary adjustments. Also, it's always important to, whenever you're working on a customization, to create a separate dev team and to make it clear to the app support to work only on the dev team. Because oftentimes it happens that the app support makes some changes and they affect the live site directly, and they don't even know that they caused some bugs, and that can turn off some customers.
Yeah, our viewers may not know what you're talking about, so maybe you might want to explain a little bit what you mean by dev theme.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, Shopify has a theme that is published to the live site, and from that theme, you can always copy it and make it a dev team. And on that dev team, developers can work and make necessary adjustments. And after you test it and make sure that there's no bugs on that team, you can just publish that as a live team.
Right, and you can always easily roll back to the other one if there's a problem. Because your typical app vendors will need to make changes to your theme as well, especially if you don't have a development team too. It's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just give them a test message, ask them a random question, see how quickly they respond, and that's probably going to be the best service level you're going to get, because most people answer to sales question before pre-sale. So if they're slow responding to your questions before you bought the theme, I'm sorry, before you bought the app, then it's not good. It's not a good sign. It's a red flag.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. What we had with the app vendors, and until our next video. See you
See you
next
next
time.
time, guys.